Aubameyang, 21 games, 3 goals. Lukaku, 59 games, 15 goals. Higuain, 18 games, 5 goals. Falcao, 12 games, 1 goal. Torres, 172 games, 45 goals. I could go on and on, but you get the gist. All these are high-profile strikers that came to Chelsea with big reputations, but ultimately failed to live up to expectations while wearing the number 9. Therefore, it's easy to see why fans started to think that there's something cursed about it. The notion that a simple jersey number could have such a profound impact on a player's performance is fascinating, but I refuse to believe that. There is no way that Drogba could have been a flop if he chose the number 9 instead of number 11. So I conducted a research to find out if there is something deeper going on at Chelsea that affects these high-profile strikers, and whether or not Osimhen, the next likely high-profile striker, should wear it. And this is what I found. Chelsea's decision to sign some of these strikers has been questionable, to say the least. Take Fernando Torres, for example. By the time he joined Chelsea in January 2011, his best days were already behind him. After suffering knee injuries in 2010, El Nino had lost the pace and agility that made him the best attacker in the world after Messi and Cristiano. His form had been declining during his final months at Liverpool, where he struggled with match fitness after missing pre-season. The transfer seemed doomed from the start, as Chelsea were buying a player who was no longer at his peak. Radamel Falcao is another example of Chelsea's flawed recruitment. Falcao had just come off a devastating knee injury that ruled him out of the 2014 World Cup, and he had lost the explosiveness that once defined his game. To add insult to injury, he had just managed 4 goals in 29 appearances for Manchester United the season before, plagued by fitness issues and a lack of confidence. Even when he was fit, he wasn't a preferred option under Louis van Gaal. Yeah, that guy. So, why did Chelsea think he would suddenly perform for them? Hold on to that thought. We will come back to it later. Then there's Gonzalo Higuain. When he joined Chelsea in 2019, he was already 31 years old and well past his prime. His loan spell at AC Milan had yielded 8 goals and 2 assists, and his return to Juventus, his parent club, the next season, he only scored 11 goals in all competitions, and he was subsequently sold to America. Chelsea brought in a striker whose sharpness had faded. So, why did they sign him? This brings us to the next reason. Strikers, more than any other position, are often the most affected by managerial changes. Under one coach, you might be expected to drop deep and help defensively. Under another, you'll be required to link up play and act more as a provider. A third coach may want you to stay forward as a traditional target man, while a fourth may ask you to hover between the lines and be more versatile. The reality is, no striker can excel in all these drastically different roles. Most can master one or two, but when a manager comes in with a completely different system, strikers are often left out in the cold. Chelsea's signing of Radamel Falcao, despite his disastrous stint at Manchester United, is a prime example. Mourinho, who had a fondness for physical, imposing strikers like Didier Drogba or Diego Costa, believed he could revive Falcao's career. Upon signing him, Mourinho even said,
he was in Portugal, my league. We moved to Spain at the same time, so we spent in Spain 3 years in the same league. So I know obviously the player very, very well. We can make him score goals again.
But it didn't work out as planned, and Mourinho was sacked. Maurizio Sarri brought in Gonzalo Higuain for similar reasons. He had thrived under Sarri at Napoli, enjoying the best season of his career. But Higuain was no longer the player he once was, and the tactical environment at Chelsea didn't suit him as it had in Italy. Then there's Romelu Lukaku, whose Chelsea career took a nosedive after an infamous interview with Sky Italy, where he voiced frustration over Thomas Tuchel's system.
Giusto, non sono contento con la situazione, questo è normale. Penso che il mister ha fatto una scelta di giocare un altro modulo e io devo solo non mollare e continuare a lavorare e essere professionista.
Aubameyang's story is another example. He was signed by Tuchel, a manager who knew how to get the best out of him from their time together at Dortmund. But just a week after Aubameyang's arrival, Tuchel was sacked. In an interview, Aubameyang later said, "I came to Chelsea in no small part due to Thomas Tuchel, and a week later he had been sacked. After that, I barely played, and problems arose that were beyond my control." Wait a minute, what problems?
Palmer, Bellingham, Saka, Tony, Trent, pressure? What pressure?
There is immense pressure at top clubs, not just Chelsea, and a player needs elite mentality to succeed. Aubameyang openly admitted that by December he was already mentally checked out. "I understood from December that the season was over. I already wanted to leave, but you can't play for more than 3 clubs. I was disappointed and jaded. I let myself go." Alvaro Morata is another player who also struggled under the pressure. After missing a penalty in the Community Shield against Arsenal, he felt the heat almost immediately. "I've played 15 minutes and they are already killing me," he said, highlighting how quickly the criticism can affect players mentally. Even while at Real Madrid, his inability to handle pressure was evident when he spoke about the emotional burden players carry, saying, "People think we are machines. They don't realize that behind a bad run, there's almost always a personal problem, some family issue. You have feelings, you make mistakes, you are a person." Antonio Conte had already urged him to be more aggressive, calling his demeanor too polite, while his next manager, Maurizio Sarri, openly described Morata as a little bit fragile from the mental point of view. The pressure to succeed at top clubs is high, and a player needs elite mentality. Haaland recently lost a close friend, and Guardiola said he would ask him whether he felt good to play on the weekend. Guess what? The guy nearly scores a hat-trick to secure a 2-1 victory over Brentford. We could go on and on about the individual circumstances surrounding each player's time at Chelsea, but the point is that there are always underlying factors at play. It's not just as simple as saying that the number 9 is cursed. However, I want to shine a light on a player who has successfully broken the curse narrative, Tammy Abraham. A product of the Chelsea Academy, Abraham returned to the club during the transfer ban after a successful loan spell at Aston Villa, where he played a key role in their promotion to the Premier League. In his debut season for Chelsea, Abraham scored 18 goals, an impressive tally for a 21-year-old in his first full season in the top flight. His movement, aerial ability, and instinct in front of goal made him a real threat for defenders. What set Abraham apart was the lack of immense pressure. He wasn't a high-profile signing with a massive price tag like the others, so the expectations weren't overwhelming. He thrived under Frank Lampard, the manager who believed in him. Unfortunately, Lampard faced the inevitable. He was replaced by Thomas Tuchel. Abraham fell out of favor and was eventually sold. Tammy Abraham serves as an example that the jersey number itself is just that, a number. It's not inherently cursed. The new Chelsea owners have made it clear that they have a defined vision for how they want the team to play, and they'll only bring in coaches who align with that philosophy. Player signings are now largely driven by the owners and sporting directors, with the coach having minimal input. If Victor Osimhen can handle the pressure, there's no reason why he shouldn't take the number 9 jersey. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. And if you're interested in more Chelsea content, don't miss our video on why everyone's got Chelsea's project all wrong.